Good morning. This is your professor again, Dr. John Clayton. Last week I gave you a short audio introduction to the course just to give you some kind of general info. And this week I thought I would give you a little bit of a video introduction, video lecture, just so you can kind of see, put a name with a face and put a voice with a face. So anyway, I'm in my office this morning and up here at school. And so I just wanted to kind of go over a few more specific things after last week. So by now you have completed the syllabus quiz. You'd sent me an email. We've talked about sort of the general issues and such in the class. And so this week, in week 2 and 3, we'll be really getting into kind of the meat of the course, the actual stuff that's going on. So first thing is, which I did not talk about last time, we will be having a book this semester that we'll be reading that's called The Book of Delights. It's not a book that I chose myself. It's one every year West Kentucky Tech chooses something called the One Book, which means everyone in 101, all the sections and all the professors, there are hundreds and hundreds of students, all will be reading the same book. And we'll be using that one later on in the semester for a writing project. Don't worry about that. Way more details are coming later. But I would advise you to go ahead and get a copy as soon as possible so that you can begin reading and not fall behind. The worst thing you can do, it's an interesting book, but it's not an easy read. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in it. And so it's not the kind of book that you could start the day before the assignment and expect to really get a lot out of. So I encourage you to start to get that book as soon as possible and to start reading. The book, there are two different formats. I have a hard copy because mine, when it first came out that I used, it looks like this. And then, or you can get the paperback edition, which is this yellow one here. Where and how you get the book is completely up to you. I have no stock, and I don't get paid any money from the university bookstore to require you to buy it there. So don't worry if you're going to get it on Amazon, get it at the university bookstore, wherever it is that you want to get it. But you do need to have a copy of it. And likewise, if you want to get a digital copy, if you prefer to read on a device or tablet, I like a hard copy or a physical copy of a book because sometimes I like to make notes in it and put little things in there. But again, we will not be meeting in person, so however you get access to the material is up to you. However, the book, I will just kind of tell you if you're thinking, well, I'll just find some synopsis online or a summary or a cliff notes or something. There aren't any. This is a brand new book. It just came out, I think, last year or the year before. So there are summaries online of just telling you what the topic is or the plot, but there's not really anything about the individual sections. And again, much more about the book later. I just wanted to encourage you to get that started early and to start reading it. It's a book by a poet of every day for a year. He wrote small little essays. They call them essayettes. And they're basically just things that he was thinking about, it's a very interesting kind of philosophical, poetic kind of book. And again, every section will be reading that same book. So there's that. Likewise, there's something called McGraw Connect. You'll see links for this week that you'll click that will have some of the grammar exercises and things on there. There'll also be instructions on how to get loaded for that. You do not have to buy the physical copy of the book for that. There should be online copies of everything you need from there. So, but again, if you choose to, you can. It's not required. Everybody kind of has a different style on if they like an electronic version or hard copy. But the McGraw Connect assignments are all interactive, and those are ones that you'll do, and it will grade them automatically, and they'll go into the grade book. The key thing. I'll get to that in a second. So, it'll take a little bit of getting used to kind of figuring out all the format, but that's why, we have, this week, there's not too much going on that so that you can kind of really get acquainted with it so that you can kind of hit the ground running from there. Beyond that, everything else in terms of our larger assignments and papers, I will give you much more information as we get closer to the time. Again, as long as you're keeping up with your due dates and looking through each thing, you shouldn't have anything that is a big surprise in terms of, I didn't know this was there. Again, as long as you're looking both at the calendar view of things and then also on the main sort of Blackboard page of things. But as always, mistakes happen, and with wonderful technology, there are always glitches. Sometimes little things happen. That's why, like I mentioned last time, communication is key and very, very important because, if something gets graded incorrectly by the computer or something gets, put as a 0, just let me know and say, Dr. Clayton, I did this or blah, 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 and I can easily go back in and fix that. But with the number of students that I have in multiple sections, the chances are if there's one tiny mistake somewhere that I'm just going to happen to notice it on my own and fix it is slim. There's just too much going on. So you need to be proactive and always say, I don't understand what's going on here. We can usually, like I said, 99.9% of the time get it all worked out. So enough about that. In general, here's some overall hints for the course on how to keep up with things and to end up with a very good grade for the semester. The key is, and as I mentioned in the last time, I've been a teacher for 20 years and an online professor. I've taught classes, like I said, since at least, I don't know, I think 2007 or 2008. So about 15 years I've been doing online courses and such. And so what I can tell you is online courses are amazing for busy people who have a lot going on, jobs, kids, other things, because it allows you to kind of go at your own pace, and figure out, when you want to be working on the assignments before the due date, as opposed to every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 o'clock we have to meet in class. Now that's great for some people, but for on the other hand, what that requires in order to get the most out of it is you have to be very, 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 very organized. I actually still, even though I have everything digitally, I still make a physical, even for myself, I still print out a monthly calendar on paper so that it's just kind of redundant, where I put down everything that's due and everything that needs to be done. And the reason for that is it can become quickly overwhelming. And because we're not in a physical class, I'm not going to be calling you at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning saying, "Where are you? Why aren't you in class?" Again, as long as you get the assignments in, it's up to you. But the thing is, each week the assignments build up, and if you're not finished with something, it's not like you can just do it all at one time. And so if you get a week or two behind, it quickly becomes overwhelming. And so you've really got to keep up with each individual thing. Personally, I would be checking my email and looking at the Blackboard page every day in the morning, even if I have, even if I've set that, okay, Saturday mornings are my time, I'm going to get all the work done. At least, though, you should be checking in throughout the week to make sure that there are no changes, to make sure that you understand what the assignment is and that you're able to access it. Sometimes, again, if your computer is a different kind and you click on something and the link doesn't work, again, that is up to you. As I mentioned before, I make sure that everything works in general, and then from there, you have to make sure it works for your own particular, circumstances. And so what that means is if an assignment is due Sunday night and you didn't open it all week long to see if you can even access it, and your computer, let's say, needs an update or something, again, I'm not going to give you an extension because at Sunday night you finally opened it and realized you couldn't click on it. So that is up to you to fix, not to me. And so if you check it, because everything's going to be there at the beginning of the week for you to look at. So if you can email me a few days in, even if you don't complete the assignment yet, that's fine. As long as you get that before the due date. But just to make sure that you have clicked on it, it works. And if it doesn't, to say, hey, I don't know what's going on here, Dr. Clayton. Because every once in a while, sometimes a link is old or something and it just doesn't work, and so I have to fix it. So again, but that's up to you. So being proactive is the big thing. And also, especially the McGraw Connect assignments, those are small point values, 5 points here, 10 points here, but they do add up. And the thing is, you don't want to just ignore those and leave those, because over the course of the entire semester, it is a substantial part of your grade. So it's, if you miss one or two of them here and there, it's probably not going to be the end of the world. But if you start just not even looking at them, and then by 3-4 weeks in, the point values do add up. So make sure, again, you make a plan for yourself every week to get everything completed. And as I said, I would, if it were me, the first Monday of the week or early in the week, I would at least look at what all the assignments are, see how much time I think they're going to take me to get done, and then look at my own schedule, see what I've got going on that week. Do I have to take the kids somewhere? Do I have a meeting for my job? Blah, blah, blah. And then figure out the time to get it done. And so, and whenever you get that done, like I said, I'm not going to give bonus points if it's done Wednesday, and I'm not going to take points away if you wait until Sunday. It's not, as long as it is in before the due date. That's the beauty of an online course. It's up to you, and you have that flexibility. But again, I can just tell you, the only time that things really get really get tough is when you get behind on things 3 or 4 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have no idea how I'm going to get caught up. At the same time, I would be very, very careful on how you ask for extensions. And what I mean by that is, life is busy, and kids are busy, and and jobs are busy, and so but again, things do happen, and so so just be very careful that in week 2, if you're already saying, oh, Mr. Clayton, or Dr. Clayton, I needed time to, can I have another week to get this done, blah, blah, blah. Chances are no, because again, the more you get behind, the further behind you get. And so you really should only reserve it for absolute emergencies. And if you're finding already by week 2 that you're overwhelmed and you just cannot get the materials done, you may then need to call your advisor, or call the academic office on campus and talk to them and just see kind of if you might need to change to another semester or something like that, because again, as the semester goes on, it continues to become busier and with more things going on. And so but like I said, if it's 1 or 2 things in week 13, you have, like I said, your kids have a baseball tournament and it's going to be all weekend and you've known about it for months, we can easily work stuff out on that. But I just don't want you to get too far behind, because again, I understand, and that's what, everybody is super busy. I mean, everybody has a lot going on, so just make sure each week you're kind of keeping up with that stuff. That being said, there really are no there are no late assignments taken unless or accepted unless you have checked that with me. If something is late, it will automatically be graded as a 0. So if it goes past the due date, the computer will assign that grade. And if I've given you extension, like I said, I can go back in and check and on that. But again, if it's due Sunday night at midnight and Tuesday morning you go, well, here, I'm going to turn in today, it's not going to work. And so everything, again, it's not fair to the other students who are getting everything done on time to have sort of floating due dates. That's just not going to work, especially for 101. It's a required class. It's very cut and dry. And there are enough sections, and West Kentucky Tech has done a good job of really creating a good set of materials. And so it is doable in the amount of time. Like I said, this particular section of the course I've taught now probably 15 times or so, and so it is doable. And is able to be done. Now, that being said, like I said, I'm very flexible and happy to help you out where I can. Just, again, communicate. And email is the best way to get a hold of me. And then from there, we can set up a time by Zoom or phone or something if we need to. But I will not be physically on campus very often, as so Zoom and email and phone will be the way to connect with me. That being said, let me look through if there was anything else on my notes that I wanted to mention to you. I don't believe so. Like I said, this week it looks like you'll have 2 McGraw Connect assignments to be done, and then something on MLA. There's a little quiz and a paragraph assignment. And if you're wondering what is MLA, well, after you look through the materials you see, but MLA is the formatting guide. And you might wonder, well, who cares about format? Well, if you think about it, when you're writing a paper, you have 50 papers. You want them all to be more or less the same format, right? You want to be able to read the paper for the content, what's actually being written about. You don't want to get stuck on like, oh, well, where is this paragraph and what's going on here? So MLA is just like a standardization. It's a way of making sure that everybody's papers and all the way that they're, they use the same font, the same spacing. It just kind of gets everybody on the same page. And so even though a lot of times students are like, oh, why do teachers get so uptight about MLA format? The reason is because you've got to think about your reader. When you write a paper, okay, you write the paper, but that paper needs to be read. And if you make it difficult for the reader just to even read it, meaning it has a weird font or the spacing is strange, then I can't figure out what the paper is about. I can't grade or judge the quality of your content because I'm stuck with the format. So like I said, you're using some fancy script that I can't even read what it says. So that's what we're going to be doing this week. And then starting up next week, we'll have a few more things going on. And like I said, each thing will work. You'll have assignments each week that are due, like I said, some grammar things, some different types of materials. And then further along, we will start the actual paper writing, which is usually going to be probably, let's see, when are we going to? We'll start sort of doing that by about week 4 or 5. So you got about a month of getting things, getting into the course before we have our first sort of large paper. And so I think that is about it. Again, if you have questions, please email me and we will go from there. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to looking at your materials and getting going. Thank you. Bye.